These are real gates to hell. Some of them sit behind barbed wire and rust. Others stand alone on country roads waiting for someone to test them. Imagine arriving at a gravel lane outside a town called Marrow Ridge, Ohio at midnight, headlights catching a single iron gate that seems to drink the light. The rumor is simple and terrifying. Cross certain gated thresholds in the right order, and the world as you know it shifts. Doors open to something beneath the world. Welcome to an investigation into America's gates to hell. For decades, small communities from Ohio to New Mexico have told versions of the same story. One version insists the gates were erected by an eccentric landowner to seal a sinkhole that swallowed livestock and men. Another version says the gates are ceremonial marks left by a cult after a fire at a reformatory. County records show property sales, a flood in 1952, and a removed road named Lantern Way, but they do not record screaming at dusk. Reporters like Luis Ortega and regional folklorists such as Dr. Ellen Markham have collected testimony. Locals warn outsiders. These are often private lands, and the ground can be treacherous. In this video, we will travel to 5 of the most persistent sites, interview witnesses, contrast folklore with archival records, and ask what happens when you cross such a gate. Stay with me for the whole ride, because some revelations will unsettle even the most skeptical viewer. I am Rowan Hale, and we begin. At the edge of Marrow Ridge, the first gate stands, chained and half buried in moss, an unassuming iron arch with a nameplate long eaten away by weather. The air tastes of damp metal and old leaves. A farmer named Hank Collins meets me with a lantern and a frown. He remembers a night when his lights went out and the dogs would not stop howling. Hank sips coffee and points at a notch in the gate. He says, "I saw something step through, quiet as smoke." I ask him what it looked like. He answers, "It had no face, but it moved like a person learning to walk." Dialogue ensues. Me, "Are you saying it walked like a person?" Hank, "Yes, slow and deliberate." Me, "Did it make a sound?" Hank, "Just a soft crackle like dry leaves underfoot." Me, "Did anything else happen that night?" Hank, "The radio died and my mailbox was sunk into the mud in the morning." Me, "Did you tell the sheriff?" Hank, "I told Sheriff Tom Reed. He laughed, and then he went pale after he saw the ground." In that exchange, you hear breath, the rasp of Hank's jacket, the clink of the lantern. Sensory details crowd the scene. The smell of damp tobacco on Hank's breath, the grit of road dust under our shoes, the bitter tang of the coffee, the cold bite of the night air. The ghostly white of the lantern light on rust. Records in the county clerk's office list a sinkhole claim near Hank's property in 1953, but no explanation for dogs howling. Residents like Mary Holloway leave offerings of string and pennies. Others lock their gates and refuse to speak. Further west, in a hollow outside Baxter, Kentucky, an old country club now abandoned hides a sunken stone well in its basement. The locals call it the Club Well. It smells faintly of rot and old whiskey. An archivist named Susan Price told me she found a ledger showing deliveries of animal carcasses to the site in the late 19th century. That ledger is sparse but real. Witness Paul Myers, a former bartender at the club, described a night shift where he heard voices from below. We sit on the cracked concrete and speak. Me, "What did you hear?" Paul, "It was like children arguing underwater." Me, "Did you see anything that could explain it?" Paul, "Only ripples on the water and the reflection of the rafters moving." Me, "Did anyone else hear it?" Paul, "Jenna Park and I both heard the same thing." Me, "Did you ever go down?" Paul, "No, I was not that brave." That conversation has weight, 4 exchanges that reveal fear and reluctance. The scene provides 4 sensory images: the sour smell of fermenting alcohol in the cellar, the slick cold of stone under fingertips, the hollow echo of footsteps down the stairwell, and the metallic taste left in your mouth after breathing the stale air. Paranormal investigators left recordings that show low-frequency hums and occasional sharp knocks. though skeptics cite structural settling and water flow as mundane sources. At Stall Cemetery, a tangle of gravestones outside a small New England town, legends say a set of iron gates marks the boundary between the living and something else. The stones are lichen-crusted and lean at odd angles. Local teacher Maria Alvarez gave me her account of a Halloween Eve when shadows moved against the moon and a choir of whispers rose from the ditch. We speak in the car with the heater boxing the cold. Me: did it sound like a voice or more like wind? Maria: it sounded like someone reading names backwards. Me: how far did the sound travel? Maria: all the way to the schoolyard, even over the river. Me: did anyone else hear it? Maria: yes, my neighbor Susan and the kids from the church group heard it too. Me: did the air change? Maria: it tasted like copper for a moment, and the hair on my arm stood up. The vignette includes 5 sensory moments: the tactile bite of frost on fingertips, the smell of wet earth and old flowers, the thin clink of a wind rattle on a fence, the faint vibration in the ribs when the ground holds a sound, and the low metallic aftertaste Maria describes. Town records show a cholera outbreak in 1832 and a legend that gravediggers left a stone unturned after a lightning strike. People like Pastor James Ellery, who has kept records for decades, caution strangers: do not go at night and respect the dead. Crossing bridges has its own folklore. In Collinsville, several small overpasses near the river are known collectively as the sway bridges. Drivers say if you stop on the middle span at midnight and call a name 3 times, something will tap your window. Teenagers, including Leah Monroe and Derek Shaw, dared each other there, and Leah told me about a night when her engine died and the air smelled of ozone. Our dialogue on the bridge is tight. Me: did you call the name? Leah: I did, out of bravado. Me: what happened after the 3rd call? Leah: a single knock, like knuckles on glass. Me: did you look over the railing? Leah: I did, and saw a face in the water. Me: did you drive off? Leah: we left as fast as we could. The bridge scene is textured with sound and motion. The river sluicing under, the spray hitting the guardrail, the grit of stone under our palms, the metallic echo of an empty beer can rolling, and the sudden cold wind that seemed to come from under the deck. Sheriff Tom Reed's deputy logged several hit-and-run complaints there over a 5-year span with no culprit found. Stories link a 19th century ferry accident to the bridge superstitions, but structural engineers point to old wiring and poor insulation causing unexplained sparks. In the more rugged west lies Hellgate Canyon, a narrow crevice in Utah where the rock seems to swallow light and footsteps. Historian Dr. Ellen Markham showed me survey maps and miners' ledgers that place several unexplained disappearances in the area in the 1920s. A ranch hand named Luis Ortega described a morning where his horse returned alone with its reins burned. We speak near a rusted gate that marks the Bureau of Land Management boundary. Me: did the horse seem injured? Luis: the hair was singed and the breath smelled like something acrid. Me: did you find tracks? Luis: only a circle of crushed sage and nothing else. Me: did anyone else see anything? Luis: my neighbor, Elena Torres, saw a shimmer on the rim at dusk. Me: did the canyon make a sound? Luis: it's like the earth is exhaling when the wind comes through. That exchange is long enough to capture uncertainty. The scene supplies 5 sensory notes: the coarse taste of dust on the tongue, the dry rasp of sage under boots, the harsh glare off red sandstone, the hollow echo that returns your own voice altered, and the sting of sunburn even in shade. Records from mining companies are incomplete, and local families such as the Torres clan still refuse to camp near the rim after dark. If you have been following, you might wonder what we want from your voice. If you were driving down an old road and saw a rusted gate at midnight, what would you do? We feel that uneasy mix of curiosity and dread too. Tell us in the comments. Start your reply with "I visited" or "I saw" so we can sort first-hand accounts. Your stories matter because they offer threads we cannot find in archives alone. People like Hank Collins, Maria Alvarez, Leah Monroe, Luis Ortega, and Susan Price shared time and memory with us and shaped this episode. Their experiences help build a map of places that are both physical and narrative. Commenting helps us gather new leads, and sometimes new witnesses join investigations from those very messages. Now back to the field as we continue to test claims and listen for what the land might conceal. At the end of this journey, the patterns are clear and unsettling. Gates tend to be markers more than machines. Some are remnants of property lines and flood controls. Other gates are more symbolic, erected near scars on the land where tragedy or industry once happened. We confirmed mundane roots in many cases. A flood here, a meatpacking ledger there, poor wiring on a bridge, yet the emotional truth remains. People unanimously describe a change in atmosphere at these places, an altered air, an inversion of sound, a taste that does not belong in a normal breath. Communities react by naming the threat, by leaving wards and coins, or by sealing the place with new chains and no trespassing signs. The sociologist Dr. Naomi Greer has written that naming is how communities process unexplained loss. That insight explains why a leak in municipal records does not quiet a rumor. It also explains why investigators like Jenna Park and independent reporters like Luis Ortega return to these sites with audio recorders and thermographic cameras. We end with several unresolved questions. Can a gate be only a gate and still feel like a threshold to something else? Do human fears gather at edges and insist they are gates? What role does confirmation bias play when a group goes at midnight expecting something to change? Our research suggests a mixture. Physical explanations account for many sensory cues, but social transmission and a readiness to find meaning in small anomalies can magnify those cues into a full story. Importantly, we owe gratitude to the witnesses who trusted us with their memories. Thank you to Hank Collins, Maria Alvarez, Susan Price, Paul Myers, Leah Monroe, Sheriff Tom Reed, Dr. Ellen Markham, and Luis Ortega for their time and documents. If you have been to a gate or heard a story we should look into, tell us in the comments. If you want more investigations that mix archives, testimony, and fieldwork, subscribe. We bring research and respect to these places and to the people who guard their stories. Until the next episode, remember this image. A gate standing in the dark will always invite a choice. Choose carefully.